We're all about the Archers. I'm Philippa and I'm with Quentin today because we are so excited. We have been looking forward to this interview for a very long time because we are here to talk to the wonderful Perdita Avery, who plays Kate. Perdita.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting.
At last, we've dragged you out of your yurt. Now, Perdita, are you in any way woo-woo like Kate?
I'm happy to report no. No, I don't think I am in any way. I've flirted a bit with yoga in the past, as I'm sure everybody gives it a go in this day and age, but didn't really take to it that much. I'm a bit more of an upbeat exerciser, so I prefer to go out for a run and do things like that. So no, I'm not like her in that way. I'm definitely not vegan. I'm a real traitor to the girl I play, actually. Not like her at all, which I'm happy to report.
It's a great line from Brian, though, isn't it? I love that line. Yeah.
Yes. The woo-woo, yeah.
I think Charles enjoys saying
the way he says it. Yes, woo-woo. He sort of spits it at me, yeah.
I mean, at times, Kate drives us absolutely bonkers, but we love her. We love her. Is she fun to play?
She's amazing to play. She's a total gift. I would be sad not to play someone who is as fun as she is, because she's completely unreasonable and so confident in her feeling that this is how I want it to be. This is how I see it. And it would be much easier if you just got on board and agreed with me. And then where's the problem? And I love that confidence that she has, because she doesn't understand how she comes across to people. She's just sort of blitzing through life as Kate. And most of us don't do that. We're quite anxious and very socially aware of how we're coming across. And will people like me? And did I slightly say the wrong thing last Tuesday? Do people hate me now? And all that kind of thing. And you get riddled with insecurity. And, we don't want to get anything wrong. And it doesn't occur to her that anything she does could be wrong. It's right because it's what she thinks and it's what she says. So what's the problem? And it's so fun and refreshing to just get to play someone like that.
I do worry, though, that she's become a bit more diluted of late, stepping into her mum's shoes at Christmas, providing the Christmas meal. And I want her to get more of that Kate edge back. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the edge parts are the really fun bits for me to kind of waltz into studio and just be awful to everybody. That's a really fun day at work for me. But yeah, I have to say, as an actor, the scenes that I've been getting more recently where you are seeing that so much of it is kind of a bit of a defensive front, and it's how she wants to be perceived than actually how she is. So she's created this image and she wants everyone to see her that way. And if they do, then that's wonderful. But when something goes wrong and the mask slips, you see this other kind of tone to her. And for me, that's really fun to play, because then I get bits of both. And when it's all goat yoga and crazy nut roast, it's a bit more repetitive. So, yeah.
I mean, as Philippa said, I mean, she's a Marmite character. I mean, you either love her or hate her. I personally love her. I think she's great. But
Thank you.
Would she personally, would she drive you up the wall in real life?
Completely. But I think the thing that's really interesting I find about Kate is that people tend to either view her with a bit of a wry smile. I mean, across the board, she's impossible. But sometimes people see her and smirk and think, oh my God, what is she saying or what is she doing now? And enjoy it. And other people are viscerally angry about everything that she thinks and says and does, and she just needs a slap and she needs to get on a plane back to South Africa, and when will she die, and all of this kind of thing. And I think it's so fascinating, because my theory behind that is that the people who are really angry are too close to a real life Kate. They have them at work, or they have them in their family, or one of them was mean to them at school, or something that just makes you go, can't bear a woman who behaves that way. But I don't have anyone I've filtered my life to be full of nice people. So I don't have an actual Kate. But there are some people who I sort of view with that same, really, that's what we're going with? Okay. And I find it quite funny. So yeah, don't know.
Well, I also suspect they have a sneaky admiration of her and would like to be as blunt and honest as Kate, but they can't be.
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, nobody can really get away with that, I don't think, in real life. But I think we'd quite like to.
Yeah.
It would be lovely to not have to second guess yourself every minute and just breeze through life. It's a bit like when somebody's really, really stupid and they have this kind of blissful ignorance about life because they're not overwhelmed with all the things they don't know and understand. Whereas almost the more intelligent people have a really terrible time because they're like, good God, I've only got this amount of time to be alive on the planet and I'll never know it all and I'll never understand it all. And what will become of us? And you sort of see other people just coasting and that must be lovely. And I think socially, that's what she's like. She's like one of the stupid people. It's just life's fine. What's the problem?
Oh, can we talk about Kate's love interest, please? Obviously,
we should.
The wonderful Jakob, who, again, we all love. There was a recent poll on our Facebook group along the lines of snog, marry, avoid. And the 3 people included in that were Chris, Tom and Jakob.
Okay.
And Jakob narrowly missed the win for snog, but he won the vote for marry.
Oh,
so he
won.
Yes. Does that resonate with you? Would you agree with that?
I mean, I adore Paul and I adore Jakob. They're very closely linked in my mind because Paul he's the most thoughtful, dreamy, kind, calm. He's got such a beautiful, calming presence. And he brings that to Jakob, but in this very clumsy, silly, sort of funny way, which he isn't at all. And yeah, I mean, he's wonderful and we shouldn't work. There is no world other than this one where Kate and Jakob should be able to be happy together. But we love that they are. We just love it. And the more improbable it seems, the more we delight in playing these scenes together because I think we're helping grow each other. There's, if there was a reason why people get clumped together, she needs that steady, reasonable, thoughtful approach, and she doesn't have it at all. And he holds himself back from things that he could do really nicely because he's too cautious and really would rather just stay at home with a book. And they let each other, how do I say it? They do bring each other on. That with that lovely storyline we had with the cyber week where my instinct was just, what's the problem? Let's dive in. Let's give everybody, move out. Obviously, I've told you twice now, move out. And he was like, this is my home. I'm saving my coffee machine. These people are going to murder us in our sleep, which is really reasonable and much more how I would be. But it was wonderful that by the end of the week, they sort of had that lovely conversation where she said, I got that wrong because I sort of imposed that on you and sorry, but I don't know that I wouldn't do that again next time. And he said, no, it was lovely that you did that, but I don't know that I wouldn't do what I did again next time.
Yeah.
And they had this sort of acceptance of each other whilst admiring sometimes their differences, which is why it's so lovely.
Yes, it was a lovely scene when he was trying to help Kate find that lost wristband as well. I thought it was a very touching scene.
Oh, I know,
sweet.
yeah. Really lovely.
We've interviewed Paul. He was fantastic. We had a great time with him. But I read somewhere that you've always been quite a fan of Paul Newman, and I was struck when we
Who isn't? Find me the person who doesn't love Paul Newman.
I admit it. I was struck when we interviewed Paul Venol, said he had a bit of a Robert Redford vibe about him. I mean,
it's the whole sundown joy.
Do you see any resemblance when you're acting opposite?
No, I didn't.
Paul?
But now you said it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll go in and tease him about it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Right. Well, you are now. You are acting alongside Robert Redford. Okay, there you go.
Perfect. This is obviously why everyone wants to marry him. We've got to the bottom of it.
Yeah. He also proved himself to be the funniest man in Ambridge, didn't he? When he was comparing agriculture, he was fantastic.
Yes, very surprisingly. He's a man of hidden talents. He stepped in and saved the day with the organ at Christmas, and he's a very surprising vet. So yeah.
He's also quite a good vet as well. He's a brilliant vet as well.
Apparently.
I remember seeing, it must be a couple of months ago now, Perdita, that you'd put something on Instagram about how you were excited, you going into the studio to record some of the most favourite scenes that you've had for a while and putting the pieces together. I imagine, was that the Clive Horrobin scene?
Yes, I think it was the confrontation with him in the shop was lovely because I went cold. I was prickly with the knowledge of all the history of everything that came before and what that scene meant. And what was so lovely was that I heard from lots of people that when I kind of breezed into the shop and was like, hi, I'll be 1 minute. I know you're closing, and went to go and get something. And then the silence whilst that conversation carried on, and everybody was going, she's going to realize she's going to say something, and how much can be communicated with absolutely no dialogue just by putting a character in a situation was such a lovely reminder actually of the power of radio and what you're able to get people imagining. So yes, that was lovely. I think the ones I was referring to were the ones when Alice had the crash and all the stuff that we had to do. My scene particularly with Brian, where I was confronting him, where he was trying to lay the blame on Jakob and all of those kinds of things. Because like I said, it's so lovely being the one that gets to breeze in and do the funny, silly stuff. But when I get the chance to, as my friend calls it, have a good old act, it's really pleasing for the person that I am. And I enjoy going in and getting really worked up and sad and accessing all the layers that we so often don't get anywhere near with Kate. But that raw vulnerability that she has, and that was coming out in those scenes where she was talking about the impact of never having been his favorite, but actually he was damaging his favorite child by looking after her in the way that he was, and it was all detrimental, and the passion that she put into loving Alice and saying, I'm her sister and I'm getting this much more, I'm just getting it right and you're not. I think it was, they were really fun to play and different for me. So, yeah.
I mean, talking of Instagram, you recently posted some touching photos and comments about your father, who you lost 8 years ago. And it got me thinking, how much does that close relationship that you had with your father, how much does that inform the scenes that you do with your fictional father, Brian?
Wow, that's a big question. Yeah, I mean, my father was and is my absolute hero. He was the best of the best of the best. He was sort of otherworldly in how amazing he was at everything, but he was also kind and clever, and he was just the full thing, and we didn't get him for long enough. And it was really hard when I lost him 2 weeks later, going into studio and having scenes with Charles, actually, and no one knew. And that was nearly impossible, actually, having to walk in and be calling someone dad. And you try and keep that layer of detachment where you're sort of like, come on, this isn't anything to do with me. It's not about me. It's about her and what she's doing. Yeah,
because I've just sensed, we touched on it earlier, that you're getting more and more sort of protective, I sense, of Brian, your fictional dad, aren't you? You seem to be cosseting him more now.
Yes. Well, I think that so often in these situations, when you lose a parent, and we've lost Jennifer, that it changes then where you all pick up with each other. So the dynamic that you had can't exist anymore because the buffer person isn't there, or the person who would, smooth things over for you afterwards just isn't there. So you find a new way through. And I think that Kate and Brian have managed to find something quite lovely while still driving each other up the wall. And
we wouldn't have it any other way.
Approaching each other with a bit of distrust. Yeah.
Perdita, when we talk to you, your voice is different to Kate. So when you...
Thank God for that.
So when you step into the studio, what are you doing? How do you get into character? Is it just immediate?
Yes. It's doing Kate's voice rather than my voice. It was a very deliberate choice on my part, because when I was given the job, it was my first, I'd done lots of radio and lots of voiceovers and things like that. So I was used to just working with my voice, but for an ongoing, potentially very long-term project, I I didn't have anything. I couldn't sort of say, oh, I think she has brown hair, or I think, there was nothing I could do to really give something totally different other than change where my voice lay. And I never wanted her to be moany or whiny. I wanted her to be entitled and infuriating. And
you've succeeded, Perdita.
I'm a winner. I thought, what's a good kind of pitch of voice that just kind of slightly rubs people up the wrong way? And that would be a bit higher and a bit more arch and a bit more kind of like that kind of noise that comes through that generally is disliked around the world. It's not that kind of nice, neutral, grounded RP. It's a bit flightier and more away with the fairies. So yeah, I tried to make it a different thing. I'm glad you agree, because if I had to go through life actually sounding like Kate, I don't think I'd have any friends. It would be awful.
Can you give us a few words of Kate? Could Kate tell me what colour my aura is?
Yes. Okay. So I'm kind of seeing that your aura would be a bit brown and like maybe with like speckles of a royal purple. I think it's really positive, but yeah, good.
Fan.
By the way, I don't know anything about auras at all. So I'm really sorry if that's kind of said that you were a witch in a former life, but I have no idea.
Thanks, Perdita.
Yeah, I think you're lovely.
It's interesting. Your eyes change completely when you become Kate.
Yeah,
they narrow.
I'm more shifty and a bit more. Yeah.
You mentioned South Africa a few moments ago. As an actor,
yes.
how worried were you when the script editors packed you off to South Africa?
Well, originally that wasn't me. That was the other actress who played her before me, and so I was called by the editor then, who's Sean O'Connor, who's lovely, who gave me my first ever big job, and he's brilliant. And he called while I was away on honeymoon actually, and said, "When you're back, come and see me. I've got an idea about something." And I went and saw him, and he said, "This character is brilliant, but she's been languishing in South Africa because the actress is fabulous and busy and has this amazing job and isn't ever free to come and record her anymore and can't give us availability to definitely be able to put her into the scripts. So I want her back in, and so we need to recast because she can't do it anymore. But I want to bring her back if you'll do it, because I have an idea of how you'll do it." I'd just been on honeymoon and I was hoping to start a family, and I thought, gosh, a radio job would be really great, getting gradually more and more pregnant and then gradually more and more tired. So yes, it worked really nicely. So I got to bring her back from South Africa.
Yeah.
So that was the great return. So yeah, right. I'm hoping they don't send her back off.
Well, yeah. I should have put it that way around. Yeah, but yeah. So you want to stay in Ambridge, clearly.
Yes. Well, she's got lots to save for. I mean, before, children weren't enough to keep her there. No. Why would they be? Just breed and then go away. But yeah, now she has a business and a boyfriend, and that's clearly more important. So yeah, I think she's happy.
Okay.
Because her surname is still Madikane. She hasn't changed. I think of her as Kate Aldridge. It seems wrong to be saying Madikane. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely an Aldridge, and her position within the show is definitely as part of the Aldridges. So although technically she's still that, I mean, lots of people get divorced and keep the name, don't they, until something prompts them not to. So I suppose she probably doesn't care about the labels. It's just like, it's not important to her, like what her label is, because she just goes by Kate. So it's probably more a case of that than anything else. Laziness and incompetence is why she hasn't changed it back. I'll talk to the script writers and get that fixed.
Thank you.
But even if you marry Jacob, you're going to get a fancy surname anyway, aren't you?
A very fancy surname, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We must talk Spiritual Home, because Kate was ruthlessly determined to keep Spiritual Home going, whatever the consequences for the Aldridges. Yeah. And it meant them losing their family home on home farm. How surprised were you at how ruthless Kate was in that storyline?
I mean, nothing really shocks me about her. When I get a script, I'm kind of like, it's part of the course. I don't, anything goes. But yeah, you sort of hope that there would be boundaries and lines marked, and she proved that there aren't. She wanted something, and she didn't think it was fair that she had to lose what mattered to her because of mistakes in her dad's past, and they were his problems and they were his to work through and sort out, and they shouldn't impact her. Again, it's that weird kind of confidence that comes from, she's very, very black and white about things. Most of us aren't. And I love that, because she's so often, when she decides it's black or white, she's always wrong, nearly always wrong about it. She's seen it completely the wrong way, but she goes with it anyway. And that's it. But this one, obviously, the consequences of that were huge. And really sad. I used to feel terrible every time I'd go in and it wasn't their kitchen anymore, even though it was an imaginary kitchen and it was actually the same part of the same sets that we'd always used. For me, I was like, I'm so sorry you're in this tiny kitchen and you don't have a nice cooker anymore. It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, the listeners were utterly shell-shocked by her decision to keep spiritual home.
Yes. And another thing to not be able to forgive her for. It's good. Join the list.
But to be fair, spiritual home is doing pretty well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, she believed in it, and she somehow has managed to succeed. I mean, it's not particularly realistic, because obviously businesses are impossible to set up and make a success of, but not for Kate. It's fine. She decided it would be so, and it was. It's all good.
Yes.
Her skills at motherhood don't seem quite as strong as her skills in the yurt, it seems.
No. I mean, it's baffling, isn't it? I mean, I joined the show and wasn't a mother, and now I have 2 children, and it's unfathomable. It's absolutely unbelievable. The idea that she has that sort of like, well, you know, I've had you and you're there now, but now my plans have changed, and so I'm off. But you're safe. I haven't left you in a ditch with no one to look at. It's fine. And she just goes without so much as a backwards glance, and no regret, no remorse. And definitely when she's then confronted with the children later on who are perhaps suffering because of the decision she made, she's sort of like, well, I don't see what the problem is. That was a while ago. What's the issue? She's mad. She's as mad as a box of frogs. And she's just an appalling mother. And it hurts me a bit as a mother, to represent that. You know, sadly, there's lots of terrible mothers in the world, aren't there? So
she just thinks
to represent them.
Kate just seems to think FaceTiming your children once a month is good parenting, and maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe that's where we should be.
She doesn't want to stifle them. She wants them to go free.
Yes, be creative.
They go free. Yeah,
because we had Nolly across for a bit, didn't we? That was at least you saw one of your daughters for a bit.
Yes, I have met. I've met my 2 daughters. Yeah, Lucy was in the show, plays Phoebe a lot when I was first there. So it was lovely, kind of, because she played that dynamic beautifully, where she was this sort of awkward teen who just found me impossible, and it became quite a sort of ab-fab Eddie and Safi kind of relationship, where you know, I was being irresponsible and awful, and she was constantly trying to rein me in, to no avail.
So I've got to ask about Brian. I mean, what's happening to Brian? Because, I mean, first he's thrilled by monograms, knitted ferrets, and then he's delighted by a Swedish Christmas lunch in a yurt. What's happening to Brian?
I know. Well, it was so sweet when we were recording it, because the genuine joy he had when we were reading it in the green room together, he was like, oh no, look, it's the little knitted ferret. And we were just, it was so sincere. He didn't send it up at all. And it was like, who are you at Christmas? Can we have this guy all year round? Yeah, but then he was also really cross about something in the church, wasn't he? About being sold the wrong tickets and being ripped off. And so he kind of went back again, but then decided to be full of joy.
Now, Perdita, the subject of food is very important on this podcast. Quentin hates it, but lots of us love it. And so
You hate food?
No, I love food.
Hate food.
I love food, Perdita. I just hate the amount of time we waste on our podcast talking about it. But Philippa insists. She thinks people are mildly interested. So
for you then, Quentin, I'm going to answer it very quickly. What's the question about food?
The question is, what do you think is Kate's favourite biscuit? I'm presuming it's something vegan, matcha, henna.
It would definitely be a non-branded biscuit, something that you can't buy in a big corporation or a big shop, or none of that. So something you buy off a market stall on a rainy Tuesday, that no one wants and is annoying. So we need seeds. We need lots of seeds in our biscuits that get stuck in your teeth that annoy you but make you feel virtuous. Match is great because she's got too much energy all the time. So that would help with that. Hemp sounds unyielding and unpleasant, but like something she would enjoy saying she ate. But then after she's had that, I think she sneaks off to the car and has a bag of party rings or something like that because they're a bit psychedelic. So a nod to her past.
Love it.
I reckon that.
Great answer.
Even
when no one's looking.
Even I enjoyed that food answer. There you go. There's hope for me.
There we go.
Excellent.
I've converted you.
No, but I enjoyed the answer.
Yeah, okay.
Perdita, we have many questions from our Facebook group. Many.
Okay, the first of the many comes from Claire. Claire says, how do you avoid collapsing in giggles when trying to portray Kate's impossibly OTT self-centeredness?
Very good question. I don't, is the answer. I often find myself giggling in the green room. By the time we go in, the adrenaline's going. So you're kind of getting through the scene and you don't want to mess it up for anyone. But often in between takes, we just look at each other. What is she doing now? And then laugh lots and then pull it together once the green light goes on.
Very good. Thank you. The next question is from another Claire. Have you ever met anyone in real life who might be a role model for Kate, or have you had to make Kate entirely from your imagination?
So Kate, bits of her from a girl I knew when I was younger, who often would walk into rooms where she was a bit intimidated and would put on a slightly funny voice. So she'd sort of, if she was the last one to walk into a big group, she'd go in and she'd go, hello, but she didn't talk anything like that. And it was always sort of like, what's happened? So that kind of slightly kooky, strange, overplaying certain words thing, I model on that nameless person. But yeah, I've avoided Kate's quite deliberately. So yeah, she's just from the fun of my imagination.
Okay, so that's two Claires. We're on to a Lizzie now, not Perdita. If Perdita could go to spiritual home and have any treatment or attend to any class, which one would she choose? So which class would you choose at spiritual home?
Oh my goodness.
Or treatment?
I'm not going to do a class. It's January and I'm tired. I'm going to do a treatment. Okay. And I'm going to have, but you know, there's one I've always wanted to try that I think Kate might do, which is that hot stone massage. You know, the one where you have like the heat
I love
sort of go into your back. Yeah, I'd like to try that. And I think they do that there. And in a yurt in the middle of the beautiful countryside, I think that would be a nice treatment to have.
Next question is from Lauren, who said, how did you find the early days of playing Kate? I mean, obviously from when you first started playing her, Perdita.
I've always loved it. It's been great fun. It was a bit more of a challenge at the beginning just because I was establishing her and she wasn't mine really to establish. So I had to listen to the previous episodes and work out some vocal bits I could put through that might make the listener go, that's not Kate. It's obviously a new person, but something sounds familiar. And then I was able to kind of phase that out as people got more used to it sounding like me. But I remember listening to episodes before I started and the actress who played her before, when she called Phoebe, would say, Phoebe? And so it kind of gave me that link into the voice I then made for her. I'm sure she didn't do it in every single episode, but in all the ones I had, whenever she said her daughter's name, that was how she said it. So now I still do things like that when I go, Jacob, and I try and put that in sort of as a nod to the past and all the hard work other people have done before me to make Kate. It's just falling straight back into what I've done for a decade.
Yeah. Talking of vocal bits, Owen Mayer asks, how come Kate has a very posh accent while the rest of the family have a middle-class accent?
I wouldn't want to argue with anybody here, but I don't think that that's the case at all. I mean, Charles is incredibly well-spoken. And I mean, Angie was famous for her like there were no syllables. It was just a sound because she was so posh. So I actually felt when listening to her family that this kind of sort of slightly clipped, well-to-do rural sound was quite fitting. So, but also it's a bit of an affectation, isn't it? It's a bit about the kind of image that she wants, and she wants to be kind of that, but against it, you know, so against all the fox hunting and all of the sort of countryside grand things, but also enjoying all the perks of it quietly. So yeah.
That makes sense. And I agree. Yes. The next question is from Gillian, who asks, will Nolitando and or Sipo ever move to Ambridge? I mean, no spoilers. If you know, don't say. But if you, Perdita, were imagining.
No, I don't think that they would. They probably don't like their mother. Why would they want to follow her?
We do hear occasionally of them and Nolitando.
Yes.
But yes.
Yes, well, sometimes I remember I have them, which is exciting for everybody, but not too much.
Okay, Andy says, when he heard you coming on, just great. My favourite character and portrayal. Enjoy that.
We should be best friends.
Anyway, Andy goes on. He says, a huge achievement breathing life into such a maddening, endearing character. The death of Jennifer and relationship with Jakob seems to have heralded big changes in her. So has Kate taught Perdita anything over time?
That's amazing. And thank you, because I really, really appreciate that. It's really kind. Yes, she has actually. Because I always get a bit nervous talking about Kate, because it feels like because I play her and because I need to talk about her, I'm defending her or in any way suggesting she's acceptable in the world. And I know that so much of her isn't, but it's also my job to be on her side and find the good in what she does. So I don't just make a one-dimensional, unlikable person. So I try to give her layers. And one of the things that she does that I love, that so many people can't get right, is that when she does something wrong, she's actually quite happy to admit it and go to the person and say, I don't think I got that right. And I'll try better in the future. But yeah, I didn't do that properly. And I love that. I think if there was more of that in the world, that would be a good thing. Nothing else to do with her, but just that. I mean, she looks after her family. She cares. She has a heart. She's clearly a nice girlfriend, even though we don't see an awful lot of evidence of that, because why would Jakob bother? So there are things about her that I think I'm not going to say we should learn anything from Kate. She's impossible, but I do like the fact she can admit when she's wrong. Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah, fair dues, yeah.
Very good. The next question is from Dahi, who asks, where would you like to see Kate 5 years from now?
Can I answer that? Can I answer that one for you? Still in the Archers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, am I allowed to say that?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I'd like her still to be sort of roughly where she is, but just creating havoc.
Yeah.
I think she has a nice place in the village because she does bring things that no one else does in her own way. And I think that infuriating as it is, I think that's a nice thing. So yeah.
Okay. John says, and we sort of touched on it already. It took me a while, he says, but I came to like Nolitando. And once that happened, she went back to South Africa. I wonder whether Kate and indeed Perdita would welcome her return and indeed the return of Phoebe. So essentially, would you welcome the return of your children to Ambridge?
Well, it could bring some happy chaos, couldn't it? Suddenly being called upon to be a mother in 3 directions all at once with people who barely know her name. That could be great fun. Not up to me. They're all, I mean, we haven't had an actor for Sipo, but we have had Nolly and obviously I've worked with Lucy so much as Phoebe, who I adore. And it would be wonderful. But it's not down to me. I get given paper to read and that's my job. So I don't get to say what happens to anyone. Stand there, say this, go away, get on the train. Okay.
Done. Next question is from Alison, who says, Kelly Bright, who previously played the part of Kate in The Archers, now has a leading role as Linda Carter in EastEnders. If you switched from The Archers to EastEnders, please don't, but if you did, which character would you play and why?
No. I don't know who I would play. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Yeah. I don't know too much about EastEnders, I'm afraid. That sounds like a good acting challenge, but I don't know. No idea. Sorry.
We'll keep you on The Archers, please. I'd like that.
Probably simpler.
Yeah.
I mean, judging by what you said so far, Perdita, this you might struggle with this one from Caris, and you have come up with a sort of similar answer. But she asks, "What's your favourite thing about Kate?"
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. Maybe she could say what her favourite thing is about Kate. Yeah, I've definitely. Her confidence is great, although often misplaced. And I think that she really does want to help. I think that's what Spiritual Home's about. I think she likes the idea of helping people's body and mind and soul and all that kind of thing, and giving that as a gift to people in an area where they wouldn't really know about those sorts of things. And I think that, you know, with the people who showed up at the houses, she wants to help, and she's quite generous in that regard.
Yeah. I think she's fun, actually. I think she's fun. And she knocks heads together, doesn't she? And she's like,
she does.
She cuts through everything and just gets to the nub of something in a blundering way. But yeah.
Yes, totally insensitively and very blunt, but she doesn't really put much chuck into faffing about for hours. She's kind of like, this is how it will be.
Route one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate asks, Kate and Jakob seem like opposites, and yet they are a believable and entertaining couple. What can Perdita tell us about working with the actor Paul Venables to bring this entertaining pair to life? I mean, Perdita, you've already talked about working with Paul, but yeah, how does that... Who's the naughtiest of the two of you?
Me. Yeah. I'm a terrible corpser. So if I find something funny or I get like something makes me laugh, I find it very, very, I'm there sort of with the script, like trying to regain any element of composure for the next take if something makes me laugh. So yeah, I mean, he's brilliant fun to work with. He's wonderful. And we do laugh at the things that we have to say to each other in the show, you know, how ridiculous he is. I mean, it was so funny when the people were in his house. He was appalled. I was like, have the house, have everything, you know, don't worry about it. We'll go and sleep in a yurt. But, you know, Jakob's always wanted to sleep in a yurt. And he was like, no, I haven't. Like in the background, just sort of thinking out loud all the time. And it's the fact that he doesn't really have any filter at all. No. He just says what he's thinking. And then he's like, I'm going to go and save the coffee machine, because he's, you know, not worried about letting them know he thinks they're going to steal things. It's just, that's how he feels. So yeah, he's brilliant fun to work with, and we enjoy the madness of our characters. A lot.
Yeah, we loved interviewing him. He was great fun. Yeah. Ivory, how do you change from perky, irrepressible Kate to forlorn, absent children Kate in a sentence?
I mean, do I need to say something more complex than just by acting?
Yes. I was thinking that.
I'm not wanting to be facetious, but that's kind of it. It's just, if the words are lending themselves to the emotion that you show in a sentence and you're doing your job reasonably well, you should be able to manage that.
Didn't Laurence Olivier famously say that to Dustin Hoffman in a film?
Yes, it was when they were doing he was running constantly all the time.
No, not
Marathon Man, and he was running constantly, and he was just like, have you ever thought of acting?
Yes.
Because he was full character acting and running and all the time, and he was permanently exhausted. And I think he just said to him, have you ever thought about acting?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yes.
I'm not trying to be like Laurence Olivier, but it's just, you know, the scripts are really well written, and they know our voices and how we've made the characters. So by now, if we get something that doesn't quite, you know, the word is not a word that we know is a Kate word, then it's just taken for granted that you'll kind of put it into Kate speak, or say something here or say something there. But they are so brilliantly written that actually when you have those sort of quick emotional changes, they work so well that you lean into them, and it's lovely. It's fun to do.
And the next question is from Bridget, who says, would Kate and Perdita have a good friendship in real life?
No, no. But I would observe her with humour from afar, from a safe distance. Yes.
Yeah. Jeremy, could Kate recommend a good vegan kebab recipe?
No. I have to say that, you know, all these sort of pretend meats that they have in the supermarkets where it's pretend chicken, but they've made it look like chicken. They really unnerve me. I can't quite make eye contact with them, because I just think, isn't the whole point that you don't want it to look like the meat? So no, if you're wanting a kebab, Either have a kebab or have a vegetable one, but there will be no substituting.
Can I recommend veggie haggis? It's really good. Have you ever had veggie
Sounds
haggis?
nice. No,
It's very nice.
no,
Sold by the supermarket that Kate would go to, beginning with W. Yeah, very nice.
She would.
God, I'm talking about food here, Philippa. What's going on?
I'm impressed. Well, it's haggis, so you lose a point for that. But anyway, the next question is from Annie, who asked, would Perdita choose a yurt for her holiday?
Why not? I think that when you see them, they look wonderful, don't they? They do them up beautifully with twinkly lights and they've normally got lovely big beds in them and you can be quite cozy. I don't think they're the roughing it kind of camping experience. So I think it's probably quite luxurious. So be fun. I'm a big fan of a campfire and, sitting under the stars at night time. So it sounds lovely.
It'd be glamping, really, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
It would be. Although I wouldn't want to go somewhere where Kate was in charge because I feel like that's not going to be a relaxing holiday for anyone.
It would not. Okay, we've got one from Zoe here. Zoe, do you share any personality traits with Kate that you would admit to?
No, I don't want to admit to anything. Personality traits. I'm probably, I mean, it depends who you'd ask, right? I'm sure to some people I'm extremely annoying and horrible. You just don't know how people see you, do you? So I don't know. I think she has some good qualities and I would hope that I do. But yeah, I wouldn't be getting involved with all of her nasty ones.
She has a good laugh like you, doesn't she? She does.
She does. Yeah. She's fun. I think she'd be fun and very, very micro dosing Kate would be all right.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Next question is from Nikki, who says, although well-meaning, Kate has struggled at times with being a mother, and we rarely hear her mention her own children now.
That's a very generous interpretation.
With the loss of Jennifer, do you think she will want to reconnect with her own children in the future to right some wrongs?
No, I mean, possibly. The thing about her with the motherhood angle, because that's the thing that is really difficult for me. Like the quirks and the sort of slightly fractious nature. Those things are one thing, but the abandonment and the disdain for motherhood when she wants to be this kind of earth mother is what is really at odds with her and therefore very interesting. And I think she just didn't get it right. And, you meet people like that in life who actually are mothers and they instantly seem more like an interested aunt, someone who's sort of like over the toply being really interested in their own child on the proviso that they can hand them back to anyone, because it's difficult and I don't want you now. And she's much more like that. So when I try to think of her mothering style, it's much more like an auntie who is entitled to go off to another country and not see them for a bit if she wanted to. So no, I don't imagine her having that much of a change that she'd want to be a good mother. I think it's a bit late.
We got more mothering questions here. We're all worried about her mothering lack of ability. This is from Mia, and she says this is more of an observation than a question, so treat it how you'd like anyway. She says, first heard Kate during the Ambridge Extra episodes in South Africa, which of course was the actor before you. And she says, I have had a soft spot for Kate ever since, even though I don't think I could be friends with her. I love the episodes you're in. You have such great comic timing. I'm looking forward to future episodes when your children are back.
That's very lovely.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe we need to get them back in. I'll speak to the relevant people. Or maybe she could get a dog or something. Maybe she would be better at being a mother to a dog. She could be one of these crazy people who suddenly ends up with 10 and treats them all like her babies to make up for lost time.
Yes.
Well,
she could do that.
She wasn't very good with the goldfish, was she? So
no, and she didn't bond with that cat either. That cat hated her. Yeah, Peggy's cat,
Hilda.
Yes, the cat was responsible for you meeting Jakob.
There you are. You see, thanks to the cat, really.
Next question is from Graham. Does Kate see her future in the UK or South Africa? It seems odd that contact with Nolitando and Sipho is pretty sporadic, and surely there would be more opportunities for her in South Africa. Well, not if it means she's
What's
not
the
on
big
the
idea
Archers.
here?
Yes.
She's trying to get rid of me. No, she's firmly rooted in Dorsetshire. She enjoys being near her family in England, and she's staying. No, I think she likes her life, actually, at the moment. I think she's really happy with Jacob. She likes that her business is, almost despite her, a success. That's kind of lovely and gives her a real boost. And I just don't think she thinks about her children the way that we all want her to. I think she's just odd in that way. And some people are, they just can't take to motherhood. And I think she just doesn't, she can be good and nice at other things, but she just can't quite get that one right. So yeah, don't know what she'll do. Who knows? It's Kate.
Who knows? Okay, Max, this is open sesame for you by the looks of it. Hello, Perdita, he says. Kate has a lot of ... unusual habits. What do you think her strangest one is? And do you think she has one we don't know about? And if so, what is it? It can be anything at all, he says.
I think she probably has some sort of weird rituals that she does. So maybe when she's one of these people who kind of has to do something 3 times or something like that. You know, she makes a cup of tea and has to stir it 3 times and then take something like that. I reckon she's got a few little quirks that we don't know anything about. I think that she's probably, it's part of that ritual that she enjoys with, she'll light the incense and she'll do the meditating and all that kind of thing. And I've seen sometimes, and then a bit of that leads into a bit of liking sound baths and crystals, and they all seem to lead into each other. So I think she's probably making rituals of things that we don't think are things. There you are.
Well, the last question from our Facebook group is from Ruth, who asks, is there something Kate might learn from you, Perdita? I would say a lot that she could learn from you.
I would hope nearly everything, to be honest. Yeah, I have to stick up for myself and say that that when I became a mother, everything in my whole life changed, and I rewrote all of my commitments and everything, and it all became centered entirely around them, and still is. The work that I accept will be when they're at school. I don't go off and film things in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks anymore because I wouldn't be here. So I couldn't be more different from her in that regard. I am happy to report.
Well, we love Kate. We love you. So it's all good. Now we come to the very final question, Perdita, which is this pass the parcel that we do between cast members. Last time we did an interview, it was with Barry Faramond, who plays Ed Grundy. And so he had a question for you. Are you ready for this? His question is, what's your favourite chakra? I wouldn't know any chakras to give you a guide, but yeah.
No. Oh, he's caught me out with that one, hasn't he? What a great question. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to be very Kate about it and say all of them.
Brilliant.
Very good. Brilliant answer. Brilliant chat. Honestly, Perdita, it's just been so lovely to talk to you and talk all about Kate. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's been amazing. Thank you both so much.
It's been great fun. Thank you ever so much, Perdita. Thank you.
Thank you.